Story 1. The Man at the ATM. This happened to a college student who worked a late-night shift at a grocery store. Her shifts usually ended around midnight, sometimes later, and by that time the town felt completely dead. No cars, no people, just empty roads and quiet streetlights. That night was no different. After locking up the store, she got into her car and started driving home. About 10 minutes into the drive, she remembered she needed cash for rent the next morning. The bank would be closed, and she didn't want to deal with it later. There was only one ATM open that late, sitting outside a small bank on the edge of town. When she pulled into the lot, her stomach tightened. The place was almost pitch black, except for one flickering streetlight above the ATM. The light buzzed softly, blinking on and off. Then she noticed someone. Across the street, near the sidewalk, a man was standing still. He wasn't walking. He wasn't on his phone. He was just standing there, facing the ATM. She told herself she was being paranoid. It was late. Anyone could be waiting for a ride or just passing time. She parked, stepped out of her car, and walked toward the ATM. Every footstep sounded louder than it should have. The air felt heavy, like the night itself was watching her. She inserted her card and began typing her PIN. That's when she realized how quiet everything was. No cars, no wind, just the hum of the machine. Suddenly, she felt it. Someone was closer now. She glanced slightly to the side. The man had crossed the street. He was standing just outside the circle of light, close enough that she could feel his presence, but his face was completely hidden in shadow. Her heart started racing. She rushed through the transaction, grabbed the cash, and froze as a voice spoke behind her. "Don't turn around." Her entire body locked up. "I just want to ask you something," the man said calmly. "If someone followed you home tonight, what would you do?" She couldn't breathe. She couldn't speak. After a few seconds, the man let out a quiet laugh. "Relax," he said. "I'm just messing with you." She didn't wait. She spun around, ran to her car, locked the doors, and drove away as fast as she could. She didn't stop shaking until she was home. The next morning, she saw a news alert. A woman had been attacked at that same ATM at less than 30 minutes after she left. The suspect description matched the man perfectly. What scared her the most wasn't that she escaped, it was the thought that he chose to let her go. Story 2. The Last Call of the Night. This story comes from a man who worked as a night dispatcher for a security company. His job was simple: monitor alarms and call homeowners when something triggered. Most nights were boring. False alarms, accidental triggers, nothing serious. Until one night at 2:34 a.m., an alarm went off at a house on the outskirts of town. The area was quiet, surrounded by trees, with very few neighbors. He followed protocol and called the homeowner. The phone was answered. "Hello?" a woman whispered. He introduced himself and explained that an alarm had been triggered at her address. He asked if everything was okay. There was a long pause. "I didn't set the alarm," she said softly. His stomach dropped. He asked if anyone else was in the house. Another pause. "I think someone is downstairs," she whispered. He immediately contacted the police and told the woman to lock herself in a room. Through the phone, he could hear faint sounds, slow footsteps, a creaking stair. Her breathing became shaky. "He's outside the door now," she said. Then the line went dead. Police arrived within minutes. The front door was wide open. The house was empty. No woman, no intruder, no signs of struggle. When records were checked, something didn't make sense. The house had been abandoned for over 10 years. The name the call was answered under didn't exist, and no phone line was registered to that address. Story 3. Someone was standing behind the car. This happened to a man who was driving home late after visiting a close friend. They had stayed up talking longer than expected, and by the time he left, it was already past 1 a.m. The roads were empty in that way. They only are late at night. No traffic, no pedestrians, just long stretches of dark asphalt lit by occasional streetlights. He took the same route he always did, a shortcut that passed through an industrial area. During the day, it was busy with trucks and warehouses. At night, it felt abandoned. As he approached a traffic light, it turned red. He slowed down and came to a complete stop. The silence felt heavy. No engine noise from other cars. No wind. Just the low hum of his own vehicle. Out of habit, he glanced into the rearview mirror, and his body instantly went cold. Standing directly behind his car, inches from the trunk, was a man. He wasn't walking. He wasn't approaching. He was already there. The figure stood completely still, facing the car. The streetlight behind him cast a long shadow that stretched under the bumper. The driver's heart began to pound so hard he could feel it in his throat. Why would someone be standing there? There was nowhere to come from, no sidewalks nearby, no parked cars, no buildings open at that hour. The man didn't move. Seconds felt like minutes. Then, slowly, the figure leaned forward. Not aggressively, not suddenly, slowly, as if he were trying to look through the rear window, into the back seat. The driver's hands started shaking. His foot hovered over the gas pedal. His mind raced with thoughts. Is this a prank? Is he about to attack? Is he even real? The light was still red. The man behind the car tilted his head slightly like he was curious. That's when the traffic light turned green. The driver didn't hesitate. He slammed the gas pedal to the floor and shot forward, tires screeching. He didn't look back. He didn't slow down. He ran the next light and didn't stop until he reached his apartment complex. When he finally parked, he sat in his car for several minutes, breathing hard, checking every mirror, afraid the man might still be there. Nothing. The next morning, in daylight, he tried to convince himself it had been stress or exhaustion, but when he walked behind his car, his stomach dropped. On the dusty trunk were 2 clear handprints, perfectly placed, as if someone had been leaning against the car, watching. Story 4. The room that wasn't empty. A woman was traveling alone for work and decided to stop for the night at a small roadside motel. It was already close to midnight, and she was exhausted from hours of driving. The motel looked old but functional. 1 floor, a flickering neon sign. The kind of place people only stay at when they have no other choice. She checked in at the front desk, and the clerk barely looked up. "Room 27, he said, sliding the key across the counter. The parking lot was almost empty. As she walked to her room, her footsteps echoed loudly, bouncing off the concrete. The room itself looked normal. Small bed, old furniture, a faint smell of dust and cleaning chemicals. She locked the door, checked the bathroom, and lay down. At some point during the night, she woke up suddenly. No dream, no noise, just a feeling. Then she heard it. Breathing, slow, steady, not her own. Her body froze under the blankets. She held her breath, listening. The breathing continued. It sounded close, too close. Her heart was racing as she reached over and switched on the bedside lamp. The room was empty. Every corner, every shadow, nothing. She told herself she was imagining things. Maybe it was coming from another room. Maybe it was the air vent. She turned off the lamp. Seconds later, she felt it. The mattress shifted beside her, slowly sinking, as if someone had just sat down on the bed. She couldn't scream. She couldn't move. Her body felt locked in place. The breathing was right next to her now. She stayed awake until morning, staring at the door, waiting for something to happen. Nothing did. At sunrise, she packed her things and went straight to the front desk. She told the clerk what happened and asked if there had been any issues with room 27. The clerk stopped typing. Slowly, he looked up at her. "We don't rent that room," he said. She laughed nervously. You gave me the key. He shook his head. That room stays locked. Why? She asked. He hesitated. Because no one ever checks out of it. She left immediately, and later that day, she realized something chilling. She never heard the breathing leave. Those were 4 scary horror stories that actually happened to strangers. Some of them got away. Some are still haunted. Which story scared you the most? Comment below and subscribe for more true horror stories.